What's going on, vegans who like electronic music? And welcome to another episode of the Sentience269 podcast. My name is Stefano, the host and the founder of this series of events where vegans meet and party. So today I basically wanted to give you the whole story. How did we even get here? And I'm gonna talk about my story as a vegan, my story as a DJ, and how these came together and became Sentience269. But first, as an introduction, let's talk about the last event. So the last event just happened a few days ago, and it was a club night focus. So we try to organize events that include, more socializing with the meet parties and just clubbing with the party format, but always with the goal of having an environment where everyone is vegan. So it was an absolute success. We were about 85 people.
After recalculating, we were actually a little bit more than 100 vegans.
I did sell 130 tickets. And so I kind of have to solve this because it's a shame that some people couldn't come and purchase tickets because there were people that did and then they didn't show up. I think the reason that happened was the weather and perhaps just the fact that some people actually wanted to come and then something happened. But because the great thing about this community is that everyone believes so much in this project and they really want to help. I think that many people just didn't want to get a refund because they just thought, okay, I'm just gonna give the money as a donation. But we need to change that. So I'm gonna talk about it in another video. But it was a success. It was a huge level up compared to our last events, and the location was much better. We managed to create more of a club environment, and the vibes were super good. There was more love going on this time, So that means it's fun, right? A party without people loving each other, it's not a good party. But things happened, so I was super successful. I already got some feedback. People were happy. There were actually many things that we can still improve, but we will improve them. But that's why we send over the feedback form so we can actually build this and not only become the best event ever because everyone is vegan, but because everything is actually freaking amazing. And we're also going to London in 1 month's time. So that's going to be our first event outside of Berlin in London. Super excited about that. But let's talk about how did we get here now. Let's start with my vegan story. I went vegan 6 years ago. Was it? Yeah, 2020. And so basically, the thing that made me connect to the animals, so basically I was by myself in an island. It was the COVID period. And I was plant-based for the environment, but I thought to myself as a vegan. But then I researched because I was actually going to start creating content. So I wanted to know what vegans are doing. And I immediately realized that the conversation was focused on the animals. So I listened to Joy Armstrong, I listened to Gary Yourofsky, Joy Aspie, and then I watched Dominion, and two main things happened. The first thing that happened is break down that conditioning that we have from society that we are superior to other animals to the point that it's okay to basically use them and see them as something that is here for actually our purposes instead of recognizing that they're individuals and they're here for their own purposes, just like we are here for our own purpose. And so I made that switch in mindset, and I immediately recognized animals as people. I also just adopted Nina at that point, so I could really, look at her in her eyes and really make that connection, recognizing that yes, she was just a little furry person chilling on the sofa. And then I watched Dominion, and I saw how much violence was involved in the exploitation of other animals by the hand of humans. And the things that made me really connect was the fact that I felt injustice and oppression on my skin when I was a kid at school. I was bullied. Also, in the family, I was abused, and therefore I could relate to that feeling of powerlessness and not understanding why someone is being bad towards you, and that feeling of being too uh, weak to actually do something, like not being able to fight back. Um, and so I realized that I was the bully. Humans are the bullies, and I immediately was like, no, I don't want to be a bully. Like that's not okay. And I also realized in the moment that I was an adult now, and I could actually fight the bullies, and listening to other activists um, having conversations with non-vegans and trying to get them to go vegan. I realized that is something that I could do because I have the character, and also because I'm a very rational and logical person, and veganism, it's very straightforward. Like you cannot really argue against it. So I thought that could be a very effective way to represent animals. And so I immediately started to do activism. I started with Anonymous for the Voiceless, but I was doing also my own solo activism. And then 2 years later, I became an Anonymous for the Voiceless organizer in Malaga. 1 year after, I became regional organizer for Italy, and now I am a Berlin organizer. And the other thing is that since the beginning, I had immediately a strong sense of priority towards the vegan message. Like it was absurd, just like you probably feel. It was absurd for me that, in a world where seems to be wanting peace and seem to be against injustice for the majority, at least this is how they present themselves, there is so much oppression and violence and selfishness towards innocent and vulnerable animals. And yeah, so I was outspoken not only within my activism, but also with my friends and family. And since the beginning, that became an important foundation for me in order to create connections, not just because of the fundamental value needed to create deep connections, but also because my drive towards activism and my, huge, big involvement in activism, it made it difficult to then ignore being surrounded by people that are literally responsible for what I am fighting fiercely or fearlessly, I don't know, against, right? So I felt a disconnection from the world. For the most part, I did have a vegan girlfriend, but for a good amount of time I didn't have friends, and this is actually why that was one of the reasons why I got motivated to move to Berlin. And and already being in Berlin, it already feels better. In Berlin, you run, there is, of course, a lot of plant-based restaurants and vegan options, but that was never really what's the most important thing for me. The most important thing is the community, but of course, vegan restaurants, if there is more, it means that the community is it's more stable, it's growing. But yeah, so that's the vegan story, I guess. And when it comes to electronic music and me as a DJ, it started very early. I was always into partying. I loved partying. I was the one bringing the alcohol to my friends to when I was 16, 17, 18 to party on the weekend. I started to listen to electronic music, and I liked it since very 14 years old. I started to listen to electronic music, and I was the one going around with the car with the windows down and blasting tracks. And never thought of being a DJ though. I was playing guitar, like kind of somewhat good with guitar, but the problem is that it has always I always wanted music in my life, but then guitar was something that it was very difficult to progress with. Like if you don't practice a lot with guitar, you get stuck. And also personally, I feel like I was always kind of slow to learn new songs. Instead, I'm much better at improvising, for example. But still, even there, my skills were always kind of stagnating, and so it was not really motivating for me to be consistent with guitar, because I didn't have time to practice more. And when I did practice, I was always doing the same things. And then I remember when I was in London, the UK, this is where the underground techno party age was strong for me. So in the UK, especially London, and there I was partying a lot. That was what I was doing. I was partying, working, partying, working, partying, working, partying. That was the routine every single week. I would often party for 2 days in a row, and always enjoyed it a lot. And I remember one time when we were at home with a friend after partying at home, he noticed how much I liked electronic music, as I was always putting some tracks, always putting some music, and I was the one always kind of vibing to the music. I never was shy to start dancing and being on the dance floor in an empty club. It was just me enjoying the music all the time. And he noticed that, and he said, you should be a DJ. Should be a DJ because you enjoy music so much. And let's do I'm always scared I'm not recording, or are we recording? Yes. And I should also put the timer here to have a sense of I forgot that. But yeah, you mentioned that. But yeah, that just didn't really. I mean, it maybe stayed in my mind, but I never really acted on it until Malaga. I don't know really what happened, but I just decided. I think that actually what happened, one of the reasons why I started DJing, it was because I realized that it would fit perfectly my life. Actually, the fact that I do like party, I do like music, and I can just be the person that is part of the creation of the party. And the other, and since the beginning, I already had the idea of actually throwing my own events. That was my goal from the beginning as a DJ. And I also had the idea of making them vegan. But in Malaga, there was no way that was going to happen. I mean, maybe we can make it happen now, but just because we have attention from other countries as well. So you might go to Malaga, communities can show up there. I don't know, maybe there is enough vegans in Malaga. I don't know. I have not promoted it actively there, but I know for the experience through activism in my life there that I didn't make any vegan friends, really. I had some good connections with the activists that were doing activism with me, but there was not really a sense of, community, I would say. And then I moved to Berlin, and my coaching business did not go well anymore, and I started to get more and more into DJing. I started to enjoying it a lot. I got a better controller, and I even started to get gigs. And I just thought this gonna be perfect. This is exactly what I want to do. Like, DJing is something that I am enjoying a lot, and I love being surrounded by vegans because I do not really want to socialize with non-vegans, especially because since I am already arguing and talking about veganism with non-vegans often through activism, in order for me to recharge my batteries, I want to spend time with vegans, and of course, just being vegan is not necessarily 100% of the reason why you're gonna like someone, but at least you don't necessarily have this draining feeling that might even become a conversation that is draining with someone that does not understand that animals should be respected and recognized as individuals. And so it was perfect, right? Like, perfect. Like, the picture was clear in my mind that there was a project that was missing, something that the vegan community would need, because I know many feel the same way I feel. And so we started. We made it happen. We made it happen here at home. We had our first three. Yeah, I think we had our first 3 events at home. And it's just crazy the way we are growing exponentially. Like, in our first event, we were 7 people, like, including me. Maybe 8, I don't know. But still, like, 4 people showed up. They actually paid the ticket to come here, and one of this person is strongly present in my life. There was one that showed up at the first event, and these vegans since the beginning were like, they just needed it. Even if there were just 7 of us, but most of them, they felt kind of lonely in a non-vegan world. So from the first event, we could see how powerful the project was. And then the second, there were 15 people, and the third one, we were around 20 at home. But this is what happened. We got told off by the neighbors that it was too loud, because we were doing it at home from 8 till 2 a.m. And we were loud. We have some big speakers there. So yeah, they were not happy about it. The landlord, the property management manager contacted us talking about calling the police, that this should not happen anymore. And so we had to stop. But we didn't actually stop. We still made the following event happen. We did it in a park, and still people showed up. It was about 20 people. Of course, the environment was much more chilled. We went to Temple of Feld. We started there, but the security came and they didn't want the old setup because we had the DJ setup and we also had a bar with bottles and they didn't want it there. It was a bit weird because I'm pretty sure people do that. Maybe we looked a little bit more organized, but they kicked us out, moved us to another park. That well, they didn't move us. They just told us that we could have gone there. But same thing happened. The security came to us and said, "Look, you cannot really do this. It's loud. You can hear it from far. Well, there's not really houses around, but they also said, well, if the police is coming, they might take your equipment." And I was very surprised. Of course, I'm very new in Berlin. I've been here 11 months, but I was expecting some more tolerance from the police when it comes to this here in Berlin. And I now know that they are indeed actually tolerant. So even if they would have come, they would have probably just asked us to stop. They wouldn't have been like fining us or taking the equipment. Of course, if you do it again, well, probably they would do. But I think if no one calls the police to stop us, I think nothing would have happened. But it was fun. It was fun to do it in the park. And by the way, throughout this beginning, we realized more and more the importance of being strict about veganism to create this good environment where people are actually focusing on making connections instead of judging. We could say judging each other, because if someone is not aligned with veganism, then it becomes a fight and they don't want to change. And actually, in the first event, we allowed a non-vegan friend of this vegan girl to show up, and it ruined the vibe completely because she was so not positive towards changing. Like, she was completely ignoring the fact that there are victims behind her action, and she was just focusing on the fact that she thought that a plant-based diet cannot be healthy in her opinion, even though there was Marco obviously showing good level of fitness with the looks as well, and then there were other vegans, which also another one was very fit. They were friends. They were both artists, performer, and so yeah, she was always, of course, showing very close mind towards this, and it felt very weird. It created a very weird vibe. So we decided that non-vegans are not allowed, and then in the second edition, instead, we decided to allow non-vegans, but with a previous kind of conversation with them from the person that is inviting them, and making sure that this person is just not an anti-vegan that doesn't want to do anything with veganism, that they are somewhat open-minded and they might be able to change. But at the same time, we also said that if they wouldn't, they would not be welcome anymore. And this helped. We actually managed to get these people to go vegan. But after that, we decided that would be too difficult of a process, because then you also need to make sure that you do outreach these people about veganism. And so now we are doing our best to filter people, make them understand what veganism is, also make them understand that if you're not vegan, you are not welcome in this party if you don't respect animals. The way we're doing it right now is through the messaging on the content creation and the messaging in the community. There's always reminders about our values and what veganism actually is, and also in the ticket process. Like in the ticket process, there is this explained in the description. And also, when you actually purchase the ticket, you need to tick a box that say, by purchasing this ticket and ticking the box, I understand that these, I don't remember what he said actually. It was like, I understand this is only for vegans. I am aligned, and I'm aligned with veganism. Where were we? So we were at the park events. And of course, a park is not ideal. That's not what the whole project is about. It's not about just doing parties and gatherings in a park. And so I was looking for a vegan restaurant who wanted to collaborate with our project. And I contacted all the vegan restaurants in Berlin. I literally all of them. I have a Google Sheet with all the vegan restaurants in Berlin. If you ever need it, maybe you're looking for a job, contact me and I'll send it to you. So it's going to make things easier. Probably still missing someone, but some of them, but I contact them all Instagram, email, trying to do follow-ups with some of them. And I managed to get one collaboration with this vegan restaurant where unfortunately the owner wasn't vegan. And as I mentioned also in the last podcast, I was not happy about it, but to be honest, he seemed to have an open-minded initially about it, and I actually thought that after our first conversation, he would go vegan, he would change and stop using the excuses that we were using, but then he didn't, and the situation around it became uncomfortable, but we stopped working. But yeah, thanks to that restaurant, we really managed to create a completely different environment. So we managed to have 30 people in our fourth or fifth edition, and then about 55 people in our sixth edition. What we learned from this experience is that you cannot really create a good club and dance floor vibe if you don't have a proper setup. Also, we learned that there is a strong desire from the community to socialize. So we implemented a speed meeting game and people loved it. And we're definitely going to do that again. But what we are also doing now, in order for people to focus on the socializing and creating connections rather than just party with other vegans, is that we are doing some weekly social meetups, right? We're just organizing ourselves to go together to eat, and we just chat and spend some time together. If you do want to participate to those meetups, you do need to be in the WhatsApp community, because I am not promoting it as much on Instagram. I could, but I feel like filtering the community and the quality over quantity is important. But I understand some people just don't want to join the WhatsApp group for whatever reason, and they still want to come. And the thing is that if people would come directly from Instagram, they might don't truly understand the values of the event. And I don't want to have non-vegans coming, or vegetarians and plant-based people, and then they might go vegan, but they might not go vegan, and I just need to kick them out, and there's going to be a negative energy that I would rather want to avoid. And one of these comments that I got is that the event is not about veganism, and I think this is what was one of the comments from the feedback. I want to do another episode about feedback, so I don't want to spend so much time on that. But the feedback was, but this was not about veganism at all. There was just DJs promoting themselves But that's the point. The point of this whole project is that we do not have to talk about veganism. I mean, if you are passionate about veganism and want to keep talking about it, there's nothing wrong with it. Personally, I actually, since I'm very involved into activism and I talk about veganism a lot, even though I do like to talk about it with other activists and what happened and how we can do things better. I also like to not talk about it all the time when I am socializing and just getting to know people, people a bit more. And so this is the point. So it's not about doing activism. Our project and community is not about talking about veganism, and because everyone is already vegan, but for sure, this strengthening of the vegan community is going to make everyone not feel as alone, and they're going to be more likely to be a stronger voice and be more outspoken and confident for animals. And we are seeing this. We are seeing people getting motivated to do activism because many people that come to the party are activists, committed activists, strong activists, good activists. And so it does happen that people get interested in this. And it's also, by the way, just on talking on the side of this, it is my goal to actually get vegans active through Sentience. I just haven't structured it in a good way, because that's how my brain works. If there is no structure, then I get lost. So in London, for example, in the next event that we're next and first event that's going to happen in London, I am going to give an Anonymous for the Voiceless presentation at the beginning. And I think this is kind of what's going to happen overall in the future. I just want to make sure that it's inserted in a way that does not break the vibe of the events. So I think doing it always at the beginning of the event is 100% the best way to go. All right, so we're growing. Last event, 85 people showed up. Amazing. It was such a good time. Such a good time. I mean, I played for 5 hours at last event and I was tired, but at the same time was super enjoyable, and time flied, really, really flied. Thank you for everyone that joined the dance floor with my DJ set and brought good vibes. It was super, 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 super fun. And I think that's about it for the story of Sentience up until now. What's going to happen in the future? So first of all, my vision for, let's say, myself with Sentience is that it's going to help me travel more and do more activism. So depends from the city, but I would be happy to, for example, if Sentience is happening in London, I would happy to help with organizing a 4-day event of animal rights action, of course, for the event, and then ending that event with Sentience. I think that's kind of the overall vision that I have with how this is gonna go, and kind of mix with me doing activism. And then there's so many other things that I see happening. Of course, Berlin is going to be our home for Sentience269, and we're going to do it monthly with the weekly meetups. And I think as we go into other cities, we can create all these communities where where the meetups happen as well weekly. I might need hosts to take care of those communities. And I also think that London might be another resident city I think it just makes sense to keep going to London monthly, just like in Berlin. Also because sustainability wise, right now, if I want to pay rent, I definitely need to double down in the events. They have to happen twice per month. And then in the other 2 weekends, then there could be a rotation. It doesn't even have to be different weekends actually, because the next London event is after 2 days from the Berlin event. So, just gotta take a flight the day after and go to another city. But yeah, we want to bring it for sure to other city. I think Barcelona is also close target, but Barcelona would probably be better in the summer. So Barcelona, I think we're coming there next summer. I would love to do it in Ibiza, but in Ibiza, it because Ibiza is not necessarily big on veganism, right? But I'm sure many people would want to go in Ibiza for Sentience. Or maybe we don't need to do it in Ibiza, but the overall idea is that we organize Sentience in a very uplifting, cool place where it's a little retreat, not only partying or an event. And so, yeah, that's the idea. I also would want to organize a Sentience on a boat, which in Berlin we can actually make it happen. So maybe we can make it happen in September. We can do a boat one in September here in Berlin. I don't know. The idea of doing a boat vegan party in Ibiza is flirting with me, and I can see it happen actually. But what else do we have? I mean, yeah, there are other little things. Of course, I want to create some merchandise with strong vegan messages, so people don't just buy it because it's Sentience, but vegans buy it because they have a strong message. They're doing activism for the animals while wearing those t-shirt and clothing. I mean, but that's just another little add up to the project. I can see festivals happening once we are worldwide recognized. We're gonna make festivals where everyone is vegan, not vegan compounds, where it's vegan restaurant. There's a lot of vegans, vegan talking, but not everyone is vegan. I guess the organizers and the people having the stand, I hope they are all vegans. I am not 100% sure, to be honest. But definitely the people that visit the vegan compound are not all vegans. And that's why it's actually super good to go to vegan festivals, because when I been to a vegan festival a few months ago, my focus was keep outreaching people about veganism through our Anonymous for Devices stand, but also outreaching vegans to become active or understanding that veganism is not a personal choice. It's a justice matter. So it's black and white. It's not like you're vegan, then it's just about you and the other can do whatever they want. No, that's not the case. There are victims involved, and if you're vegan, there is something wrong happening to other animals, to victims, then you should be doing something about it and sending a message to people that they should also stop disrespecting animals. But yeah, that's two different things. Again, we're not wanting with Sentience, we don't want to create that environment. We want to create an environment that is vegan. A little dreams of a vegan world. And yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I can be honest with the exponential growth that we are having right now. I don't see why a first small festival couldn't happen next summer. I can see that. I can see that happening. Yeah, I just realized that my socks kind of the other way around. They look a bit ugly. Let me fix that. Right. The other one is fine. And festivals, but that's not the end of it. I think at some point we will also be more naughty. I think we should organize vegan sex parties. And another idea that I had, but this is kind of a bit separated from the old project. But kind of these TV shows like Love Island, right? Where people go there to actually find a partner. Wouldn't it be super fun to have the vegan version of that? I think it would be super fun. And to just hire a villa and get there vegans, just having fun, interacting with each other, looking for a partner, and making a show out of it. I think that would be fucking super fun. And yeah, it just would be super fun. And what else is in the making? I should have had notes. I didn't make any notes. I'm always freestyling when I do this. Just give me 30 seconds. I'm just gonna think for 30 seconds. Yeah, what I wanted to mention is, of course, the difficulty of making sure that everything is vegan. Like as I mentioned, the first restaurant was a vegan restaurant with a non-vegan owner. And there's something that I really don't understand. And to be honest, I want to push. I will actually make posts about it. I think it's really not okay for, especially in a city like Berlin, that vegan restaurants hire non-vegans to work. I mean, I can understand if the owner himself is not vegan, then it makes sense. They don't even understand veganism. But if you are a vegan, right, and you understand that is a justice thing, is a justice movement for animals, but then you don't prioritize hiring vegans, I think that's not okay for multiple reasons. First of all, is that it means that with your employees, you don't talk about it, and maybe you do, but leaving them working there is just a misalignment with the values. And I also want to understand that, of course, you need people to work, but in Berlin, I'm sure you can find vegans to work for you, and vegans want to work in vegan environment. Like non-vegans can work wherever. Vegans need, a vegan place where to work, and restaurants and cafe. This is usually where many people go to work as well, because usually this, whatever. But yeah, many people, when they look for a job, they think of going to a restaurant or to a cafe. So please, let's spread this idea that vegan owners should hire vegan people. But again, it is difficult. Like what's happening for us is that, of course, like the core team, the hosts, and the DJs, they're all vegans. But again, when it comes to the venue and the bar, we haven't been able to make it happen so far. I will keep looking, but I think one of the solutions would be to just hire a venue where we can just put our own, like bartenders, for example. That would be a great solution, but at the same time, that it's a big step up as well. It is going to require more money to hire a venue like that, and it's gonna be bigger probably, so need more tickets sale. But yeah, things are going well. I mean, I don't see why we are not going to be able to sold out also the next event. And of course, if we sold out the next event, then will give me confidence to say, okay, we need a bigger venue. So let's do that. But yeah, that has been the problem, but not in London. In London, it has been super cool to be immediately connected with Unity Diner, the restaurant of Earthling Ed. I mean, he's one of, I don't know if the founders, owners, but it is definitely within the whole project, together with the Search Sanctuary. I was talking with Andy, and it was really great to truly actually collaborate for Sentience269 with someone that really sees what we're doing for the vegan community, instead of just having a business relationship with someone that you don't truly respect and you don't truly connect with, and it doesn't truly understand what you're doing. But yeah, ideally, I mean, we're in a world that is increasingly vegan, so opportunity will increase. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you like, subscribe, leave a comment which part of the story you like the most. And next events are going to be in Berlin, the 15th of August, London, the 17th of August. You can find a link to the event description and to buy the tickets and to join the WhatsApp communities on Instagram. So also, I think I put them in the description of YouTube, but definitely the two important place where you want to be, you have to be if you want to grow together with us. It's going to be Instagram, Sentience269, and the WhatsApp community that you can join from the links in the Instagram bio, and I think the description of YouTube too. Yeah, I want to put them in the YouTube description as well. Are we done? I think we're done. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around. Ciao.